हाय गाइस, वेलकम 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 मेरे चैनल में आपका स्वागत है. So today is a very special video. Natasha Denona released her Metropolis palette for the holidays. It is limited edition. And the moment I saw that, I've been following her on Instagram and checking out all the swatches and all of that since the time she announced, and the swatches have been just killer. So I just couldn't wait, and Sephora had it. I was ready in the morning to order it, and I've been waiting all day for the delivery guy to deliver this, and it came and I was just excited. So here it is. This is the Metropolis palette. It's lovely, it's green and all of that. So we're going to talk about it, swatch it, compare it with other palettes, maybe do a few eye looks. So let's get right into it. So let's check the palette first. This is how it looks. It's nice and green. So fun fact about me, I love everything green. Green is my favorite color. I like most shades of green. So she had me at the packaging itself. So that's how it looks. This compared to the Sunset palette is a tad smaller, but it has 28 shades compared to the Sunset palette, which has only 15 shades. And they both retail for $129. So obviously this is more value for money. Also, it's got 28 shades, but the pan size is smaller, which I really like, because who hits pan on eyeshadow palettes? Like I have a lot of them, and I'm constantly dipping into one palette for a few days and then I'm going to the other, and you never hit pan. So why have like a one big brown shade and then you feel guilty buying the other one? So if it's smaller, you don't feel guilty buying another one, right? So I really like this, and this is how the palette looks. Let's take a moment to appreciate how lovely the color story is. Now, when I look at this palette, and let me reduce the light so you can get a better look, because this is shining too much. Yeah, much better. So this one has, I think, 15 shimmer shades, which also includes one duochrome shade, and 13 matte shades. So almost evenly distributed. It's got these greens, which I just love the green story, and they're scattered across the palette here and there and mixed with the gold and a little bit of warm oranges and a splash of blue. Like, it's just amazing. I'm just in love. And this red again, I'm in love. I'm just simply in love. So let's swatch it now. Okay, so I thought of swatching this palette a bit differently. So I thought I'll go with the various color stories that this palette has to offer rather than swatching row wise, because I want to compare, let's say, the greens together, the copperish orangey shades together, the blues together, and that's how I'm thinking I'll swatch it, and the golds together. So let's do that and see how it goes, and then I'm going to be comparing all those shades with the other palettes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swatch the green shades first. So I have these two shades. I have this light green, this shimmery shade, this matte green shade, it's called Royal, and then this metallic green shade along with this taupey matte brown shade. So the first one is Lethal. This is this nice green shade. The next one is, I think, True, and the next one is this olive green metallic shade. It's called Shield. Next I have this metallic shade. It's called Noble, and it's similar to the olive green, but it's slightly more gray brown than olive green. I know you can't tell in this swatch, but it's a little different. So the next one is Royal, and this is this matte green shade. It's such a nice dark green. I don't have anything in my collection. The next one is Jubilee, and this is this royal green metallic shade, and the last one is this taupey matte shade, and it's called Azoic. So here are all the greens. Then I'm going to add the blues to these swatches. So I have this shimmery blue shade and these two navy blue shades. I don't know what's the difference between these two. Let's check it out. So this is Aqueous, this is Enigma, and this is Symbol. I mean, looking at these are very, very similar. One seems navy blue and this seems more teal. So let's swatch these. So this is Aqueous, this is Enigma, and this is the other one. I forget the name. So yeah, I think this one requires one more swipe, but yeah, that's how it looks. So before I jump into the golds, I want to try out these orange shades first. I'm going to swatch these now on the other arm. So I'm going to take these 3 matte orange shades, and then I'm going to take the orange metallic shades and swipe. So this is Chrism, this is Ripe, and this is Stain. Next, I'm going to take these 3 metallic shades along with the red and then swatch the browns. So this is Mace, this is Crest, this is Helena, and this is the red shade, and it's called Claret. So these, this is obviously much deeper, more coppery brownish. This one is more orange and this one's a lighter pinky orange. So here are the swatches up close. And then these are the 2 brown matte shades. This one's Pure and this one's Antique. And they're all very, very creamy. I don't think there's any difference between this formula and the other Natasha Denona formulas. So these are all the oranges, brownish shades, the warm ones. So next I'm going to swatch all the remainder colors, and I think most of them are the golds, and this yellow matte, this beige matte, and this ice cold color. So this one's Rust, this one's Penny, Fuse, and this one's Penny, and the last one is Orium. So Orium is the duochrome shade. They're very similar but a tad different, but this one's the most coppery orangish fiery sort of gold. Penny and Fuse are very similar, and the Orium is this duochrome shiny shade. It's really pretty. The other 2 golds are Blaze and Imperia, and I know I've created a mess, but again these are very, very similar. Just wanted to show them together so you can see how similar these are and how different these are. I know I don't have room in my hand, but that's how these swatch. And the remainder are those mattes, the skin colored. So this is Rope, and it's almost my skin color. This is Rhizome. This is this mustardy color, which kind of looks right now orange, but yeah, it's slightly orange on my skin. And this is this shimmery shade, and it's very goldish silver, and it's called Queen. Swatch. So I have everything on my hand and it's a mess. And yeah, now I'm going to be comparing these with the other palettes. Okay, so just to compare these colors, now this palette seems to have a few new shades, or a lot of new shades, especially the greens, but a few of them are just, you know, hints of the other palettes that Natasha Denona has. Now this particular red one I know is in the Sunrise palette, and I don't have the Sunrise palette, but I do have the Anastasia Beverly Hills Jackie palette, and I think this red is exactly the red that Jackie has. So this is the Natasha Denona red, and this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, and it's got the Wiggly's red, and they feel and apply pretty much the same. So that's how these look. Very, very similar. I think this is a little warmer, I guess, but you really can't tell the difference. So that's how the reds compare. So next, this palette, when it came out, everybody seemed to think that it is exactly like the gold palette, or pretty much very similar to the gold palette. Now just to show you this, how the gold palette looks. So this is how the gold palette looks. And if you see, I think I may be wrong, but because I haven't really played too much with this palette, but I think this gold and maybe these blues, these three shades probably are the only ones that compare, and the rest are very different. Pretty sure the browns don't match because this is very dark and these are very light, and these have something in the middle. So I think there are only 2 or 3 shades that actually match. So let's see. So I'm swatching Fuse and Imperia. The first one's Imperia and this one's Fuse. So this is from the Metropolis palette. And I'm swatching Oro from the gold palette. And this is how it swatches. So I think this one's a combination of these two, honestly. So I think you can definitely create this color by mixing these 2 shades. So that's one shade that compares. Now just to compare the blues, I'm taking the 2 blues that are in this palette and I'm going to swatch them. And then I'm taking the teal shade that is in the gold palette and just swatch it next to it. And yes, this seems like it's a combination of these two, maybe, I don't know, but it's very similar. This is more muted though, this is a bit dull, and the ones in the Metropolis palette seems a little more vibrant and more bright. So, but yeah, it's very similar. Also, I just want to, curious, I'm just swatching the shimmery teal shade that's in the gold palette and just swatching it one more time. So this is how the shimmery shade in the gold palette looks, and the shimmery shade in the Metropolis shade is definitely more vibrant, definitely more pigmented. This adds a layer of shine to the eye, whereas this is more pigmented. So yeah, that's different. The mustard shade that the gold palette has, I'll just swatch that shade as well. So this is how this swatches from the gold palette, at least on my arm. And the comparable rhizome shade, it's definitely more orange. This one's it's more mustardy brown and this one's orange. So yeah, definitely not comparable. I don't think there is anything other than these 2 shades that match the gold palette. The gold palette has very unique shades of mattes and gold. So yeah, but this one's just got a hint of it. So next I want to compare the Metropolis palette with the Sunset palette. So I feel like the oranges and the golds in this definitely are present in the Metropolis. So let's try that out. So I'll swatch Horizon and Sinai on my arm. So this is Horizon and this is Sinai. If I compare it with the oranges in the Metropolis palette, so this is Charisma, so this is definitely much lighter, but the other one and this one's called Ripe. I think Ripe is very comparable to these 2 shades. Again, I think this is in the middle between these 2, but I think when you put it on the eyelid, it won't make much of a difference. So definitely this is very similar to the 2 shades in the Sunset palette. Also, I'm curious to see how these 2 pinkish goldish shades in the Sunset palette compare to, the 2 copperish orangish shimmery shades in the Metropolis palette. And look at the mess I've created already. But yeah, let's see. So this is Atmosphere and this is Bronze Age from the Sunset palette. And this is Mace and this is Crest from the Metropolis palette. So again, I don't think they are comparable as such. These 2 maybe, but not so much. I think they're very different. Although I will say when you apply them on the eye, who knows, they might just look very similar. And just curious, the Morgana shade from the Sunset palette. This is really unique, so I don't think this compares at all. So yeah, that's, I think those are the comparable shades. Let's check out the browns as well. So in this palette you have Volcano. I think Volcano and Terra might be comparable, but I'm not too sure. So this is Volcano and this is Terra, and this one, I think the only two shades that might come close are these two. One's called Pure and the other one's called Antique. So this one's Pure and this one's Antique. Oh, the swatch was also Antique. So yeah, this is how the browns compare. I think these two are very similar with the Sunset palette, and this one's Terra and this one's Antique. So this might be similar, but yeah, so there are some comparables, but not, yeah, but the palette has a lot more to offer. So if you don't have the gold palette or you don't have the Sunset palette, this palette definitely is a combination of all these palettes plus some more. So yeah, I think this is a very versatile palette. It's got a lot of variety and definitely more shades, so something to think about, I guess. So I have cleaned up my eye and I think I'm gonna do one eye look. Now I'm super confused what look I can do, because I think you can do so many looks with this palette. I think I'm gonna pick one today, maybe something with the green, and have another, just a dedicated eye look video, because I think you can have more than one eye look with this, and I don't want this video to be too long, so I'll just make one for today. So I don't know what eye look I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna see how this goes. So I think I'm gonna dip into this yellow shade, and this is called Rhizome, and I'm just gonna apply it on the upper eye right here with my blending brush. And right off the bat, the pigment is, as usual, top notch, typical Natasha Denona style, very nice, pigmented. I think I've not cleaned up my eye very well, but yeah, I guess that's okay. Now I'm gonna dip into the lethal shade, which is this light green shade, and I'm gonna use that as my transition shade as well. And I think it's a lovely and a very different transition shade. I've never used a light green shade as a transition shade. So that's that. I love it. Next, I want to try this royal green shade. So I'm just gonna take a shading brush and apply this all over my eyelid and see how it applies. So this color does look exactly like how it's swatched, and I think, and I actually love this green on my eye. It's really pretty. And let's blend it out a little bit. I'm just gonna take that light green shade and blend it. So that's a nice matte green eye look. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray this with the Studio Fix Plus, and then I'm going to dip it into this shimmery green shade and see how it applies. So, ooh, I'm so excited. Oh, I love it. I think that took too much, but you know, that's what I like about Natasha Denona palettes. They, no matter how much you take, like if you for some reason take excess, and it just doesn't make the eye textured, like there's no bumps, it's all smooth and lovely. So yeah, I'm glad that has stuck in this palette as well. And this is not a subculture Anastasia Beverly Hills fiasco, if you guys remember that. even though this one's got a similar story to Subculture, it's got the yellows and the greens, but the formula is just excellent. So a little bit more. I'm loving this green. Such a pretty color. And just in the interest of using a lot of colors, I'm gonna take the same brush and maybe dip into this green as well as the blue shade and just apply it right here at the corner. Maybe take it out a little bit and just blend it. I'll take another blending brush and dip into that mustard yellow and just add it back. I think it looks pretty good. And I'm just curious to see how the duochrome shade Orium looks, so I want to apply this on my eyelid somewhere. So I think I'm going to do it right in the middle just to add a little bit of pop. Oh, just lovely. Just in the middle. And what I think I'm going to apply something on the inner corner of my eye. So I think I'm going to take, let's take Imperia. I don't know, let's see. And this is Imperia. It's a bit much. I think I went too far. Lovely. Just to finish it off, I think I'm going to apply a little bit of brown at the bottom just to complete it. But yeah, this is Antique. I'm just applying it at the lower lid just to give it a more rounded look. And that's it. I'm going to do this on the other eye and come back. Alright, so I am back. Here is the final look. I just love this green. It's just so pretty and it just blends like a dream. I know I created a mess here, but yeah, I think I tried 4 or 5 shades and they were all really good. So that's the final look. My final thoughts, this palette is amazing. It's got so many shades. I loved all of them. And there are so many unique shades as well. And here's the thing about palettes. You want a palette that does everything, and I think this does a lot. So I think this is great. All the shadows are the typical Natasha Denona quality, very, very creamy. In fact, I just realized, I think this palette is magnetic. So this particular shade actually came off. I dropped it and it just came off. And when I was putting it back, it was magnetic and now it's stuck. So it doesn't fall. So even though this is leather and whatever, but I think part of it is like the Biba palette where it's magnetic, although you cannot pop out the colors. But I think if you put a pin, you might be able to take it out. I don't want to do that. It just came off. But I like the fact that it has a magnetic base, but still intact, because I've seen that in the Biba palette, sometimes the shades fall off and it's less safe. It's not that compact. This one is, and I think this packaging is better. I prefer this one though. I feel that it absorbs the shock more, and if it falls, I think it protects the palette a lot better. So yeah, that's just my preference. And I do have a few, I guess, room for improvement. So some of the shades are very similar. Like, I don't get these 2 blues. Why are there 2? I don't get it. I think both of them look the same on the eye. So, I mean, maybe there could have been a splash of, you know, a bit of lila palette or something different could have been done. I think some of the shades are repetitive. repetitive in the sense there might be very slight difference and it doesn't really show up on the eyelid, right? So why? I mean, I don't get that. And there are a couple of goals that are very close. So I mean, that's where I feel like this palette could have improved. There could have been maybe 2 duochromes. This entire palette has 1, and the duochrome, mind you, is great. I mean, it works great with the greens, and I'm hoping it works great with the other tones of colors here. But I feel like there could have been maybe a blue duochrome or something different. That's just, I think, a missed opportunity. I think this palette should have had, or maybe she is planning to release those colors as a different palette. If she puts everything in one, maybe that's just, I guess, bad business. So maybe that was the reason. But yeah, I would have preferred some more shades rather than a few shades that were very repetitive. So that's just my personal opinion. But other than that, I think there's nothing wrong with this palette. I really like it. And I am totally drawn to it because of the color story. The greens are just amazing and the palette is just great. It's just, yeah, I'm in love. So that's all about the Metropolis palette. I think I'm gonna do another video with all the eye looks on this palette, and we'll meet again. So yeah, do subscribe to my channel. Let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know if you would like to see any other comparisons of this palette with any other palette. So I would be happy to do that. And any other look you'd like to see, any other questions you may have, let me know in the comment section below. Yeah, until the next time we meet, bye.